Nutrition and training go together. However, if you have one without the other, you're not going to get the desired effects, and ultimately, you're not going to get fitter, stronger, and faster. After all, we're all aspiring to be better and more well-rounded cyclists. Right, let's start off with a bit of science. When we exercise, our bodies uses carbohydrates and fats as fuel. Our bodies naturally store around 400 to 500 grams in muscle and liver glycogen. But when we exercise and we run out of those stores, we end up losing energy and end up hitting the wall, which is commonly known as bonking. So when we exercise, we need to top up on our carbohydrates using bars, gels, or even real foods to reduce the risk of, bonking and feeling like this. The average person can only process 1 gram of carbohydrate per minute, no matter how much we consume. So there's more emphasis on eating little and often than eating loads at one time. But how do we translate that to on-the-bike fueling? Right, let's start off with a nice, easy 1 hour ride. You've had a good, healthy breakfast filled with slow-releasing carbohydrates. So when you get out on the bike, there's more emphasis on keeping well hydrated than keeping fueled on the bike. I like to start my day off with oats and yogurt and fruit. This gives you a good source of slow release of carbohydrates and proteins, which will set me up for the day. Now, that all being said, it is worth taking a bar when you head out on the bike, because you never know how you're gonna feel when you get out there.
So now we're getting onto the longer rides. You're going to want to make sure you're fueled for the entire duration. Extensive research has shown that carbohydrates improve endurance performance. We recommend you start with 2 bottles on your bike, and at least one of these should be topped up with some form of electrolyte. This is because as we exercise, we naturally lose fluid and therefore electrolytes, and you need to stay on top of replenishing those, because even just 2% dehydration will cause a reduction in your performance, even if you can't feel it. So now that you've thought about your fluids, next up you want to think about what to eat on the bike. And we recommend taking a sports bar for a start, alongside a banana or something like that. It's good to mix natural foods with sports foods, because you get the benefits of the sports bars, which are practical and easy to take with you, but you also get the nutrients from the natural foods, and it's good to keep that balance. A sports bar like this, which weighs 30 grams and has 25 grams of carbohydrate in it, should be consumed roughly once every 30 minutes. And then you can use the natural food to top up as you feel. Your stomach is basically a muscle like any other muscle, so don't do something silly on race day which you've never done before. So practice with any sports nutrition in the lead up to your big event, because the last thing you want to do is shock your system and end up with an upset stomach. Pros, for example, will use rice cakes in training and in racing. That way they know they're getting something consistent that's easy to consume, but also easy to carry on the bike. One final thing to note on the food front though, is not to eat too much at once. Having 2 or 3 of these in a short period is not going to do you any good whatsoever. James said earlier, you can only process 1 gram of carbohydrate per minute, so that's only 2 of these in 1 single hour. It's much better to take small bites little and often. This will give you a much more even spread of energy throughout the ride and keep you well away from the dreaded bonk.
So now we're on to the longer rides. We want to start thinking about fueling the night before. So a good, healthy, fully carbohydrate loaded meal like pasta or rice is really worth having. And then onto the day of the race or the day of the event, or even the day of the long ride, you want to think about a good, healthy, solid breakfast like porridge or granola that is fully filled with the slow releasing carbohydrates. And then when it's onto the bike, at least take 2 bottles, because you're probably going to want to fill a bottle up on the way. It's worth living by the rule of 1 bottle per hour. And if you have some carbohydrate powder or even electrolyte tab, that will help put carbohydrates back in, and it also will help you keep hydrated throughout your ride.
Start your rides by consuming your solids, but as the ride goes on, you can then maybe consider something like a gel. Gels are full of glucose, which is a super fast acting energy source. They're also a great boost in that final hour of your ride, and they're ideal in emergency scenarios when you feel like you're on your last legs. They're quick and easy to consume, but also they're small and easily tucked away in a jersey pocket. You can pretty much forget you've even got them on you.
So you just come in off your ride, and now's the time to think about recovery and thinking about replenishing the carbohydrates and proteins you've lost. And a great way to start doing this is by taking a recovery shake 30 minutes within your workout.
Yeah, the reason for doing this is you want to get those nutrients back into your body as fast as possible. A recovery drink like that is a great snack, but it's by no means a replacement for a proper meal. And you could have that 60 minutes later, couldn't you?
Yes, you can. So if you did enjoy this video and it really helped you, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up.
And for more training videos, click down there.